It's being recorded. That's good. Okay. Now I'm going to engage my Rode sound system. So give me just a second. I hope I don't lose you. All right. Some of y'all were not here last week. So I'm going to review a little bit of what we talked about, just some of the concepts of what we're doing. I won't take as much time as I did last week. And then we'll get started. A lot of y'all have been around Bando, so I don't need to go over some of the basics of Bando. I'll just cover some of the things we need to have in our mind as we do this practice. So we're going to talk briefly about the premise of Longyi Yoga, the principles, and the practice. The premise of Longyi Yoga and Bando Yoga is that the human body constantly needs realignment, adjustment, and manipulation due to work, stress, and injury. Coiling, sliding, and pulling the rope during yogic practice stretches, adjusts, and aligns the body and limbs and provides structural mobility and flexibility of the core. I talked about this a little bit last time. Dr. G is not real happy with the word core and the way people use it these days. And for most people, core is just the abdominal muscles and strength in the abdomen. Dr. G says if we're going to talk about the core in Bando, it's not just the muscles, but it's the thorax, it's the rib cage that gives us support. We need to, in Bando Yoga, we want to learn to first understand who the members of the family are. And then we need to know, once we know they exist, we need to know how to reach out and communicate with them. And it's like family members. Even though you communicate, you can't always control them, okay? So we also want to learn how to control our family members. And that's a big part of what we do in the Bando Yoga. Everybody still hearing okay? Okay, good. The movements that we use can also stimulate and massage the hands and feet, removing toxins, facilitate circulation, allowing proper flow of prana, which is ki or ga in the body. Principles of Longyi Yoga. The rope is constantly coiled, uncoiled, adjusted, anchored, so that the rope becomes a support and the stimulus for the joints and safe movements. When we do danda, which is using the staff or the stick, we will let the danda, the staff, becomes our spine. It becomes our support. It's what we rest upon, rely upon to do the danda. The Longyi is different because instead of a stiff staff, a stiff stick, we're using a flexible rope, but we use it in such a way that it can provide support. So we want to use that. But if a rope is not purposefully and properly kept tight, it won't provide any support. So we have to learn how to use anchors and wraps and different motions to keep the support necessary. One of the things I love about all of the danda, all of the yoga, the danda and the Longyi especially, is that they let us practice going places where we couldn't normally go. It's a prop. So we can do a much deeper stance when we use a danda staff than when we don't. When we use a Longyi rope, we can let gravity help us assist as the legs slowly lower, and we can protect against injury by using the rope properly to do that. A loose rope, unsupported limb, or overexertion using muscles to achieve a pose or a movement indicates an inefficient or improper setup or use of the Longyi rope. If you find yourself having to use the rope and doing something when it's against your foot, and if your purpose, while I'm getting here, I'll show you a wrap, a stacked wrap. We'll talk about this in a minute. This is a stacked coil, stacked wrap. But let's suppose I'm doing a certain wrap, a certain motion. If I want to get a stretch back and stretch the thorax, the chest, the abdomen, if I think I'm doing that, but I'm using my arms in this manner, I'm engaging biceps and forearms and fingers unnecessarily. If I want to build bicep strength, I might do this. But if I just want to get a good stretch, right now, those coils around the wrist make me go too far. I'm going to take a hand wrap in addition to the wrist wrap, and it's almost just right. Since that's not quite right, I'll take a finger wrap. And now I've got just the right length, a combination between a wrist coil and a finger coil. What I want to get here is when I do this stretch and lean back, chest out, chin up. Now when I'm stretching, what I'm getting is a relaxed stretch through the shoulders. I'm not holding it like this anymore, but I've gotten back, and I'm able to relax all of this so that the rope is doing the support. If I want to do that same stretch and I don't have a rope, I would have to place the hands back here and lean back. It'd be a different type of stretch. But one of the things I like about this is I can go places and stretch that I normally couldn't go, but the rope has to be taught to do it. If I leave the rope loose, I'm going to end up going too far. So if you find yourself getting tired, your muscles are getting tired holding a position, you're probably not letting the rope do the work. The Longyi rope assists with adjusting, aligning, and manipulating the elements of the body to promote health and efficiency of movement. And this is about how you make a rope. Practices. Terminology. It's easy. When I'm sitting here, up is at the ceiling, at the sky. Down is the earth. But when I'm lying down in yoga, up is a different concept. So is up straight up past my head? Right? Is up that way or is up that way? So we use the concepts of horizons. I've got a right horizon and a left horizon, a head horizon that way, sky. Sometimes I might take we'll talk about prayer positions, a belly prayer, sometimes I'll call that the earth prayer because typically the earth is below our feet. This could be a horizon prayer, the hands out towards the side, horizon prayer. But horizons are concepts we'll use so that we're all thinking in the same direction. Prayer positions, earth, belly, heart, a breath prayer at the mouth or the throat, a head prayer, horizon prayer. So if I was going to have a horizon prayer when I'm sitting, horizon would be out here. Or a sky prayer. So a sky prayer, you'd be here. There's your prayer position. So that's the concept of horizons and prayer positions. Anchors. Anchors can be done, if I say take a types, let's talk about, types, right? Anchors can be the feet. An anchor could be obviously we do this around the wrist. Sometimes the anchor is the hands, the fingers. Any part of the body, you can anchor behind the elbows. You can anchor behind the shoulders. And a lot of times, this is simply to give you, watch this. So here's an anchor behind the shoulders, but it's kind of falling off. So sometimes you end up just crossing. Now I've got an anchor behind the shoulders, but it's a much more, it's easier to make it. Now I can just lean back and rest. Before I was having to make the anchor stay in place. Exploring how to wrap, unwrap, now watch. when I come out of this anchored position. The rope's taut, it's holding me up. I could just go totally slack and come out of it, but it's kind of sloppy. What Dr. G say about sloppy? Don't be sloppy. It means you're from a sloppy family. Your mother's sloppy. Your father was sloppy. Now you're sloppy. So how do I keep that taut the whole time? As I come out of it, I can spread my feet just a little bit. That keeps it taut. So we learn how to keep the rope constantly in a state of not super tight tension, but enough tension that it can provide support if we need it. Part of this learning to be aware of how taut the rope is and is it getting sloppy is part of what we do in training our senses. And we'll talk about that in a minute. The wraps can be any part of the body. So we've got a wrist wrap, hand wrap, finger wrap. We'll try this later, but watch the finger wrap. Here's a finger wrap where I wrap one finger, then I wrap the next finger, and the next finger, and the next finger, maybe the thumb, and you have this, which when you make a fist, when we do the finger wraps, when you make a fist, it tightens up the wraps on the fingers. And if you've been to a massage therapist and they do a finger squeeze, like milking the fingers, really, and it's really a comfortable, it just feels good. You can do this on your own when you learn how to properly wrap. And then you'll have finger wraps you can use. So fingers, hands, wrist, you can take wraps around basically any part of the anatomy. Some of you have seen Dr. G teach where we can take wraps around the head and you can compress the head. We don't typically take a wrap around the neck for obvious reasons. You can take, sometimes there's no wrap. It's just an anchor. Sometimes there's a half wrap or a full wrap. This will become important. I'll show you this as we go, but I find useful a lot of times to take a spiral wrap. So I've got a wrist wrap. Now watch this. When I spiral wrap, it's spiraling down the arm. So when you finish up, when I say spiral wraps, there's several reasons to do that. One is just to take up a lot of rope quicker. Another reason is that when I rotate from a palm up to a palm down, it tightens. It really tightens on the forearms and squeezes, it compresses. And it's something you can use to affect blood flow. On the motions, we're constantly coiling, uncoiling. We'll use anything you can do, and some of y'all have been exposed by Dr. G to the sources of power. Push, pull, lift, press, circle, drop, twist. You can do all of these things. One of the motions we'll sometimes use it's called a breaststroke. It's what I call a breaststroke. Dr. G didn't call it that, but I'm a swimmer, and it very much resembles if I'm here and I want to take up some rope with both sides, I can up, out, together, and there's the breaststroke right there. Or come out of it the other way, coil, uncoil. But we'll sometimes use a breaststroke to get to a next position. The stretches are typically performed at not only extension, so we'll think of a wide extended stretch. Sometimes stretches are done at compression, and they're done when relaxed. So This also ties into how we breathe sometimes. And the breathing we'll have is either chest, belly, or back breathing. And the chest and the belly we're normally used to. But back breathing is something that if you're in a compressed position and you need to breathe, you can't get a good chest breath or belly breath. So we'll try to breathe by expanding the thorax, the back. And you can't get a full breath, but you can get enough breath that it's viable and keeps you going until you can get out of the cramp position. One of the descriptions I like that Dr. G gave us is our muscles are like vines that constrict our joints. Muscles should be fluid. Longyi yoga, stretching, relaxation, and aligning can promote this fluidity. Our joints are the links between our bones that support our body. Properly balanced tendons and ligaments in conjunction with supple muscles allow fluid, controlled, and directed movement of the body. A lot of times we think of beginnings and endings. We're in one pose, we're going to go to the next pose. And I think it's important to remember that it's what happens between the beginning and the end that's really the story. That's where learning, when we explore, if you go exploring, I've inherited a farm that's been in the family for a lot of years. And I am learning to explore. As a kid, I grew up going to the farm. And it was just a place to go and be in the woods and fish and do all this kind of stuff. Even now, I'm still learning how to explore that farm and discover things that I never knew were there. I've discovered things on this farm that nobody in the family that's still alive knew was there. We discovered we used to have a mill on the farm back in the 1800s. And I've recently discovered timbers and millstone. I found the millstone for it. But the point I'm making is that going from one place to another, if we keep our eyes open and we're open to discovery, a lot of times we'll find things that we didn't know were even findable, that even existed. But I happened to read that on our farm, there was a creek named Bostic Mill Creek. Mr. Bostic owned the farm before we did. It said Bostic Mill. Nobody ever heard of a mill. But just because I knew that was even a possibility, when I was walking around exploring the site over the last few years, when something looked unusual, sure enough, I realized that I took a closer look. I've been able to find timbers from the old mill that are like 6 feet long, hand hewn from back in the 1800s. We have to have an open mind that's open to discovery. And then when we explore, we'll find things about ourselves or what we're doing that are useful. It's important to use the transitions to learn and also to practice safe movement. One of the things the ropes will do is let us, like I said, go places we couldn't normally go. We'll talk more about that. The last thing I want to talk about briefly is the types of sight: inner sight, outer sight, and oversight. Dr. G would constantly talk about, for years, he would have a theme for a few years when he trained us down here. For a lot of years, it was anatomy, geometry, and geography. And I want to show you a picture. Let's see if I can find this picture. How do I find that picture? I think it'll be here. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Does this even show up? Oh, that's probably awful.
Yeah.
Is that awful?
Yeah, it's all glare.
It's what?
Glare.
Glare. That's what I thought, glare.
But that's the one that you shared earlier today.
Some of y'all have seen this. I just sent it today. There's an eagle diving into the water And there's the Bando Yoga, the Longyi. Did the glare go away?
Yeah, that's better.
So, anatomy. It's obviously that we share some anatomy with the eagle, and apparently we can share some of the same geometry. We can use the Longyi to structure our geometry to achieve a certain purpose. The geography is anatomy, geometry, geography. It's where we do everything, the environment we're in. Our inner sight is what we use. You use it to see inside your body to try to understand what the muscles, tendons, what are they doing, what's actually necessary to perform a technique or achieve a position. The inner sight helps to develop a coordinated effort of the body to avoid injury and promote efficiency. The outer sight is basically the geometry to see what it would look like from an outside perspective. And you can see some of this in the pictures I posted about how the rope makes triangles and how the body fits into the structure of the triangle. What we're often looking for, not just in art, but in life and how we do things, is symmetry of what does symmetry give us? It gives us balance. If we can, when we balance on our foot, if we can be equally balanced on all three parts of the foot, we've got balance. Three parts of the foot. 1, 2, 3. Dr. G would say 30%, 30%, 30%, 10% in the center. But if we learn to achieve the symmetry, we can be in control of our balance. Control is a big point. And the oversight is how the technique is related to and involved with the surrounding environment, understanding and manipulating the environment, which isn't that big of a factor in the big space I've got right here. Next week, I'll be at my farm on Sunday, so assuming I can get the mobile hotspot working, that's all I have down there is a mobile hotspot. I hope it's not going to be a nightmare. But the geometry that I have to, the geography I work in at the farm is a credenza, a big chest here in that little farmhouse, and a sofa over here, and I've got to really make things fit, so it's a tighter setup. I got lucky here at home. I took our living room, and my wife slowly adjusted and got rid of everything in the living room and made it a living room. So this living room, no more sofa, no more piano. We still got a couple of chairs. I gave in on that. We got chairs. But the living room is now my workout room. So last thing is when you're practicing, think about what you're trying to achieve. There's an obvious goal. Sometimes, what are the hidden intentions? This is Dr. G's phrase. What are the hidden intentions? And I'm going to let you think some about hidden intentions. And the other thing is to be open to creative force and epiphany that may occur when trying to achieve a goal. Ideally, and you're going to find places where, I know Dr. G said for years, do it a certain way, this way, and he says, don't you feel it in your back? A lot of times. Sometimes it took years before I would feel it in my back. I'd feel it like in my leg or my hamstring. But eventually, I'd get to the point where I did start to feel it in my back. And he was already there, and he probably didn't understand why we didn't feel it like he did. But be aware of what you're trying to achieve, but your body's going to say, it's not time for that yet. That's okay. So if I'm doing something and I'm in a place and you can't get there, that's okay. That's where you are. We're all in different places. So with that being said, has anybody got any particular questions before we get started? Hello, Dusty. Okay, you guys are all still hearing me okay?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, then I want to ask you this. I'm going to be, since we got a small group, we'll take a vote. If I'm like this, I've got a couple of choices of cameras I can use. Here's the mouse. Here's the fireplace. camera, which is pretty much, let's see, that way should be the right, yep. So, and I can change that. When I set this one up, I've got to switch the perspective so that, all right, if I'm laying this way, I just move my right hand by pointing to my right. What does it look like on your screen? Or did I point to the left?
You point to the right.
Interesting. So that shows to the right for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so my right leg just moved for you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, because it don't on my screen. Let me do this then. I think I can change it just so that it changes that for me. What I'm asking really is this perspective good? I can change right or left. Or this is a different camera right in front of me. So instead of looking from my head, you're looking first towards my feet. Do y'all have a preference? So from your end, I'm not sure what's going to be simpler.
I think it depends on how complicated the rope is, Gary. You know, I think just try one way and.
Okay. If somebody gets bumfuzzled, holler at me, and we'll try it a different way. So if I'm this way now, did my foot just go to the right?
That went to the left.
Okay. Let me try this. There's somewhere in here it says mirror, and I thought it was right here.
Gary, that will only mirror what you see. It won't mirror what we see.
That's what I was thinking exactly. All right, I'm just going to not worry about it. You're going to have to do some interpolation in your head. So with that said then, we're going to go back to putting me in the same perspective as you. And let's get set up for some Lying Longyi. And I haven't. And I would say take some basic wrist wraps until you're at a basic, take a wrist wrap for me and then a hand wrap, and I'm at a heart prayer position, right over the solar plexus. All right, Dusty, right over the solar plexus. Good. All right, so from the heart prayer, let's take the hands and let the feet ride gently with it up to a head prayer, horizon prayer, head horizon. Now open the arms outward towards the horizons. And then bring, as the feet lower, bring the hands back together to a mouth prayer, breath prayer, back to a heart prayer. Take a hand wrap each side. You should be at a belly prayer. And then you can slightly spread the feet as you point the fingertips at the feet. And you'll have what I'm calling earth prayer. So that lets you stretch those wrists. And then bring the hands out. So now we've got some coil wraps. Open the hands to the side. All right. Pull the hands up, straight up to a sky prayer. And hands, feet up, and point to the head horizon. And I like to have at this point only wrist wraps, and one hand wrap is okay. And from here, slowly lower the heels. Let the knees go out towards the pelvis, towards the hips. And then slowly lower the heels all the way to the ground. And then open the arms out to the side. Now, as you straighten the legs, make a breaststroke and make like a wrist wrap. So that as the hands go out, the feet go out, hands come in, feet come up and together. And now you've got one extra stacked wrap on your wrist. Again, reach for the back to the head horizon. And you can, now when I'm doing that, I like to have the rope exiting through the mouth of the tiger, they call it, right here between the thumb and the forefinger. You have a better control that way. And then once again, drop the heels towards the groin. Let the elbows come inside the rope. Elbows together, inside the rope. And slowly lower the feet all the way to the floor. Hands go out to the side like fish pose. And relax right there. As you relax right there, feel the tailbone on the floor. Is the back arched? Manipulate the hips. So slowly tuck the hips up towards the sky and feel the change in the stretch. Feel the stress change a little bit. You can lower the left knee towards the floor, lower the right knee, come back to the center. From here, you can reach out and up, move those elbows, and let that rope come under the shoulders, and just have a higher position for your hands. For me, it's up above my ears. Where I was out to the side, heart level, I brought the rope up and let my arms rest out so it stretches the chest a little bit differently, and the hips are still stretching. Deep breath, slowly exhale. Purse the lips and blow all the air out. Exhale, inhale again. This time, when you breathe out, rest at the bottom of the breath. Just stay right there, don't breathe. And breathe. When I do that and take my time and I'm not hurried by the world around me, I'll breathe about 3 times a minute. And to me, the relaxation is the resting at the bottom of the breath, not holding the breath, but just totally in between inhale and exhale. So blow it all out, purse the lips, good tight compression, blow the air out. Good inhale, chest, belly. And let it out and rest at the bottom of the breath. You may be able to feel your heartbeat at that point, and that's a good thing. Dr. G, I looked at my notes on some of this week, and one of the great phrases that he told us in the 15 years when we were training weekly with him in his basement in Peachtree City, and I'd forgotten he said this until I reread it. When you feel the heartbeat, when you feel the stretch, the relaxation, when you use your inner sight, this is what he said. He said the inner sight is the heartbeat of yoga. And to me, that was a very astute, very wonderful statement. Inner sight is the heartbeat of yoga. Too many times we're looking at the things around us or thinking about the things around us, but if we can learn to use that inner sight to monitor internal processes, physical processes sometimes, can be intriguing. So from here, bring the knees up together, hands together, and let's change position a little bit. Unwrap the coil so that you've got a good, see if you can approximate my position by adjusting your coils. We're going to do some spiral wraps on the forearms. Okay, so you reach out, up with the hands, and out, down, come around the rope, and let it wrap on the wrist. And you're back to the center. My palms are facing towards the head horizon. Now take the hands again, reach out towards each horizon, circle, come inside, in between the ropes, and you should have a stacked number 2 spiral. Let's see how that shows. So they're not on top of each other. Stacked is not a good word. They're spiral wraps. They're spaced out. And take another one. Reach out, circle, come in, breaststroke. And for me now, the feet have come together, and I've got the spirals on the forearms. And basically, the palms of the hands for me now are facing me. If you rotate the palms out, supinate, and then pronate, come back in. So just slowly pulse that wrap. At the same time, if you want to get even more compression on, that should give you some compression on your forearms as you rotate the palms out. Flex the hands down towards the elbows. That will also enhance the compression. And the final spiral, this one's hard to get, is I have to grab, right hand grabs the left rope and secures that left rope while I do one arm breaststroke. One arm wraps, and then I take that rope up above my biceps. And I take the other left hand, secure the right rope, and pull that right arm down and around, inside the legs, the ropes, and also put it above the bicep. So this is what mine looks like. I've got a spiral wrap all the way from the armpit down to the wrist. Does that make sense, folks? I'm trying to see. I can't tell from here. Whoever's wearing that white shirt in the middle for me, I see the wraps on your wrist. Are they also on your forearms and your biceps? I think I lost you somewhere. Dusty, have you got it?
Yep.
Okay, I can't tell from here. Laura, does it make sense? Is Laura there? Laura may be gone. Beverly, does that make sense? Okay, good. All right, now my circulation is slowly cutting off. My inner sight says I'm an idiot at this point. So I'm going to unwrap. As you unwrap, keep pressure with the feet, and you can slide that rope along the arms. It's like effleurage. It's like squeezing and pulling all at the same time, and massage that forearm as you go. Okay. Does anybody need me to do that again? Debbie, did it make sense?
It does. I've been following.
Have you been able to do that before?
I think so.
Okay. Let's try to do the same thing for fingers. So I'm going to take first from here, I'll be sure I've got a wrist wrap, one breaststroke motion with a wrist wrap, a circle. Now I'm going to reach out with my little finger, hook it around the outside of the rope, and totally wrap, one full wrap on the little finger. And then use the ring finger and get a total wrap on the fourth finger. Third finger, total wrap. Index finger, total wrap. That's enough for now because the thumb gets tricky. Now take that and then squeeze the hand. I don't know if I can see. Dusty, can I see your hands? Is it wrapping them? Yeah, I think you got it. JB, is it making sense?
Yes.
And I see you, Beverly. You can just nod your head. Is each finger wrapping like that? Yeah, yeah, there you go. That's what mine look like. And when I squeeze, it really massages those fingers. Okay. So once you're here, as you keep pressure, keep the line taut with the feet, pull against that index finger, squeeze it, and then slowly let it relax, uncoil, and then push again, squeeze the third finger, slowly relax it, uncoil it, squeeze the fourth. I'm pulling against the rope each time to get pressure on the finger so that you can give yourself a hand massage with the rope. All right, so I'm at a arms straight out, legs as wide as I can get them. From here, I want to reach out and grab under the rope, reach out and grab under the rope, and just let your wrist support. You don't even have to hold the rope. Just let the back of your wrist support the rope. And just for everybody's information, what we're exploring, we're reviewing right now is what we did last time, which is the 2 feet bound. This is the 2 feet together is set one. We're just exploring this again, not in any particular order. The order is going to be the 2 feet bound to set one, 1 foot bound out to the right is set two. But at this point, we're just exploring different motions, anchors, wraps, and motions in the first set. So we're going to use gravity here to let the legs be as comfortably towards the ground as you can have them, either towards the foot horizon and also towards the side horizon. Use the wrist to push and gently pulse and lightly stretch the groin there. At the same time, you can slowly move the forearms, hands, towards the head horizon and get a little bit different stretch. Move it up maybe 6 or 8 inches and then just stay right there and relax. And if that becomes tiring on the arms, we'll take a break and simply pull the hands, as you keep the rope taut, pull the hands together in the middle, prayer position, rest those shoulders. And from here, we'll come back to that big open stretch in a minute. But from here, you can drop the heels. And you can, for me, it works out to be a throat prayer. And then open the hands out. Push the feet, extend the legs. So I've still got it caught on my wrist here. And then just open the feet again, and you're back where you started. And let that stretch, let gravity help you with that stretch. I guess gravity would be part of the geography. We're using the gravity to help stretch here. But we're also assisting by pushing with the forearms. And then raise that. For me, I've got the rope going across the forearms and right at the base of the neck. Find where it works for you, and find a place where you're not using too much energy to get the stretch, but you can use the arms to assist the stretch in the leg and the groin. Y'all could stay there and relax a minute. Lindsay, you doing okay? Am I losing you, Lindsay?
Yeah, I think my rope is too long. And also I got confused on how to start in general, like the basics of the wrist wrap,
Yep.
because I wasn't here last week.
I got you. I got you. So I don't mind at all. So you say your rope may be too long?
Yeah.
All right, then do this. Let's make it shorter. Throw it out in front of you. And throw it out wide and have your feet in the middle. Have you got it on each wrist here?
Well, the thing is, I was trying to create little circles.
You may not have a proper Longyi rope. Have you got a loop in the end of it?
Well, that's the thing. It's so long that I had loops, but then I tried to make them shorter. I mean,
Okay,
closer.
been there. Well, you can do this. You can make a simple loop there. Can you see what I'm doing?
I mean, I can cut it. I brought my scissors with me in here. I can cut this because it's too long, but I was afraid to cut too much.
Well, don't cut it. If I heard you say that right. You see, look, this is a bite. You see the bite? Folks, y'all just relax a minute. See what I've done here? I've got a bite, right? I'm just going to take this and put a quick circle in it and come back through. And I've got a loop right here I'm putting my hand through. Can you do that? So I've got about 15, 18 inches at the most hanging down. Well, if your hand will fit through that loop, do the same thing on the other end. And I can send you some information later that'll tell you how to make a good Longyi rope. All right, you got a loop in each end? Go ahead and unmute yours so I can hear what you're saying.
Okay.
I can barely see you, okay? And let me see if I can do something here. You guys explore on your own a minute while see if I can get Beverly, not Beverly, Lindsay, caught up here to us. Lindsay, can I make yours a spotlight?
You can either add spotlight or replace spotlight, Gary.
There we go. Add will do it. Thank you, Debbie. Oh, that's good. You got some loops made there. All right. That's the hardest part. The rest of it's easy. Okay, so get it through here. Let's change this. This camera, wrong. All right, Lindsay. So you got it over here? Yep. Let it come through the mouth of the tiger. Let the rope just come right across the palm of the hand and out the front. There you go. Do the other one the same way. Around the wrist, and then it exits out the mouth of the tiger, they call it there. So put your feet out here in front and get it on your feet. Spread your feet a little bit. There you go. Keep the rope taut now. Watch what I do. Just watch me. See my left hand? I'm going to reach out and make a wrap. Now I'm going to reach out and make a wrap. I got a wrap on each wrist. Try to keep the rope taut with your legs. There you go. Long rope is good. We can work with a long rope. And now make some more wraps and make it shorten up some. There you go. So you can, watch me, look, watch this. So if I'm here and it's too long, watch me, one hand. And it's getting shorter and shorter. In fact, I can get it short all the way down to my feet. And sometimes we do that. There you go. Those are wrist wraps. You got stacked wraps. And if that's all you do tonight, that's all you got to do. You can do everything with that. Some of the spiral stuff I've got them doing, we can catch up with that later.
Okay.
I'm going to go back somehow. Sorry, girl, I'm not spotlighting you anymore. All right, Debbie, I'm going to go replace spotlight.
Or just remove. Go to her square, upper right hand.
Yep, and hit remove. Cancel. Okay. I think I just removed, no, wait a minute.
Nope, she's still spotlighted for us.
I hope I didn't remove her from the room. I think I may have been in the wrong square. Lindsay, if I did that, I'm sorry. I was in her 3 dots up there.
Yeah. Well, you're the only one spotlighted now, so you're good.
But have I still got,
But
is Lindsay still in the game?
no, I think you accidentally removed her instead of removed to spotlight.
I think so too. I think she'll probably realize I was stupid, come back.
Unskilled, not stupid.
Sometimes they go together. Oh, God. Okay, Lindsay, I'm sorry. Does anybody know how to reach Lindsay?
Human is the word I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Human.
Say it again. Human?
Yeah,
You're not
human.
stupid, you're human.
Yeah. I think hopefully she can ask to get back in the room. How does that work?
The part, sometimes when you remove somebody, they can't come back in. Let me just say, Zoom does that because usually people who are abusive, the host can remove them.
Right, that makes sense.
Let me just say, if you want to allow her to come back in, you probably at this point have to close down the Zoom and then restart it.
That's interesting. All right, well, that was my dumbness. You guys want to log right back in?
I'm happy to do that.
I'm going to shut it. I'm going to end the meeting and we'll start it back in a second. I'm going to go send her a quick email because that's how I got her earlier.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Great.
Start it again. We'll see how that works. Last time I really messed it up. Hello, Eric. Adam, were you there on this past one? I just didn't see your spotlight.
Yep, I was here.
Okay.
I just
You
had
saw
my
all the
camera on for a while.
shenanigans. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
While we're waiting to see if I just sent Lindsay a Facebook Messenger and an email, so try and just straighten out that mess. Are you guys following okay? How are we doing?
Yeah.
Good.
Yep, good.
It can be overwhelming. I don't want it to be overwhelming. And Lindsay's never done any of it, so I'm sure it was probably overwhelming. She didn't. There's Lindsay. You found us again. Huh. Unmute, girl, so I can apologize properly. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
All right. Now, Debbie, walk me through it again so that y'all don't lose the image of me each time somebody talks.
Okay, so go to your Hollywood square.
Okay.
And in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see 3 dots.
Got it.
If you click the 3 dots, one of the options is add spotlight.
Or spotlight for everyone.
Spotlight for everyone.
So that makes me the spotlight for everyone.
Yes.
Okay. All right, people. Lindsay, you've got loops now. If that's all you get tonight, that's a good start. So we'll get back to things. Does anybody remember where we were? We'll get back into doing some of this. Let me change to a different camera. Okay. So what we've got is that, yeah, good. So, as I said earlier, we're exploring. So, Lindsay, I've got her on my feet. So, from here, slowly, you can let the rope help you slowly lay back. Control. Control is a big deal. We want to learn to control. We're learning physical control. A lot of times, if we've got physical control, it can help with emotional control too. So, physical is a good place to be. All right, let's review real quickly. Take your coils. There you go until you've got Lindsay's. There you go, a heart prayer. Good for you. Okay. From a heart prayer, go to sky prayer. Let the feet come up at the same time so your hands are over the face. There's your sky prayer. And I'm going to change it so that my rope's actually coming out of my hands. And I'm going to open the arms and let it pull the legs back. Now let's do this. Let's take wrist wraps. And I'm not coming out my hands this time, just wrist wraps. And I'm to the sky, to the horizon prayer. Open. Make a small breaststroke with the hands. So you stacked another wrist wrap. Reach for the horizon. As we do this, we will slowly add wraps, and you'll start to slowly pull yourself into a plow. Take another wrap out and together, reach for the horizon. Stay there for a moment. Let your body slowly adjust. From here, you can just drop the knees, take some of the pressure off the hamstrings, and then tighten back up. Hands out, down, and together like a breaststroke. Now reach from here towards the head horizon. Slow and easy. Some of you, that'll be as far as you get. Some of you take another wrap. And I've run out of, my feet and my hands are now together. So I can't wrap anymore. But I can use the arms to pull the feet to the head horizon. Crack your toes right there. Ideally, you'll discover your different parts of your body discover each other. Like right here, for me, I can drop my knees to my forehead. You can take this, recover a minute, and relax.
Let's see. No?
All right, watch what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go where I was, but I'm going to change the anchor. Right now, the anchor is on my feet. Let's see if this shows okay. So I'm going to come up where I was. I'm going to reach for the head horizon. And I'm pushing with the hands so I get a good plow stretch, but watch the rope. I can change it to the heels, and it changes a little bit of what's going on. I can get an even better push and stretch.
Oh dear.
So I change it from a foot anchor to a heel anchor. Sometimes we might change it to a knee anchor and pull the hands to the forehead. Sometimes we can change this to a behind the calf anchor and pull it into an ear press so that you slightly open the knees and you can press the temples or the ears with the knees. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So experiment with what you can do with the plow. You may not get a full plow, but if you can, just take it where you can. Extend the arms, extend the shoulders, feel it in the back. If you're at your full plow position, slightly move the hips to the left, slightly move the hips to the right. It'll change the stretch as you go.
Hi.
All right, come down and watch this. You'll have to, I'm going to show you, then you can try it. Let me see how I can show you all this. I'm going to try to, as I roll out of the plow, not just roll straight down the center of the spine, but instead of rolling down the center of the spine, I try to roll on around this side, and then next time I try to roll around this side. And what that does is it changes. You've had people crack your back before. The massage therapist or somebody pushes on the back from the side, not straight on the spine, but sometimes from the side. This lets you, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm going to slightly roll towards my right shoulder. Then when I come back to the plow, slightly roll out to the left. Work on that, working a circle as you roll around. Here's the spine, roll out or roll out. Do that a few times to see if you can get a sensation of what's going on around your spine.
Hey, Gary, I have a question for you.
Yep.
I've got a lower center of gravity than you, and I can't go directly into a plow without kind of rolling into it, which requires me to kind of
Yep.
tuck and roll first before I can straighten the legs.
I see, I know what you're saying. And let me see is it possible when like you see how I'm pulsing right here?
Yeah.
I think that if you slowly work into that, what I do sometimes is take this, and I'm going to grab the rope right here. As I pulse, I push the arms towards the head horizon. And it gives me more control to perhaps get into the plow. That's the only answer I can give you. Or sometimes, Debbie, I'm able to use the rope to help assist the feet. Experiment with that. It's the best thing I can tell you right now.
Okay.
You'll have to help me experiment and learn that.
Yeah,
Good
'cause
question.
I can, like from a seated, I can roll into it. I
Yeah.
just can't from my back bring my legs over.
Where do you feel any tension or stress when you try that?
Well, here, they just don't go any further and I can't lift my butt.
All right.
But I can roll back.
So you're using momentum to do it.
Yeah.
So if I'm going here, let's go as far as you can with the rope.
Okay.
Like if it's right here. When you take your hands, can you push them towards the head horizon and go any further? See right here, I'm pushing with my hands and pulling my feet at the same time.
Not without, again, that momentum.
Okay. Then I think what you'd have to do is find the point where basically where your body stops.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that by pushing the hands towards the head horizon, that would have to pull your feet further. It may not be a full roll, but it would have to, I think, to me, I'm relaxed, I'm not using my stomach, and I can push My hands, my feet follow.
Mhm.
I can take the rope out of the equation and make it happen, but I can make it happen easier with the rope. And when I use the rope, if I do it without the rope, I have to use abdomen
Mhm.
and tighten it up and push. With the rope, I'm able to relax the abdomen and make it happen. You'll have to experiment with that. It's a good question.
Yeah. So I can go from a shoulder stand into a plow, but that it's always required that intermediate.
What you're asking me is the perfect question. It's how to make the transition. The transition's the story.
Yep.
Yep. You've got to figure out what that story is for you right there. Keep us posted. I'll learn from what you learn. Okay, so let's lower back. Did anybody get their back to crack when they did that? Sometimes my upper spine will crack when I do it that way. All right, so we're exploring, it's 8:10. We're exploring this whole first set. I'm trying to think, do I need to give you any more? You've got the basics of feet together and knees up. If you want to get artistic with this, it's like I did with that picture of the eagle. It's when you come to let's see how we can get that. For me, if I have basically a breath prayer position, thumbs at the mouth, at the chin. If I extend the hands to the head horizon, bring the feet up. That's basically where the eagle is, right there. I need one more wrap, I think, to really get a good tight stretch. So I've got a spiral wrap on the forearms, and I'm going to reach for the horizon. This pulls my heels right up next to my butt, so I'm really tight right there. Now I'm going to stretch even further, and it slightly picks my feet up. And then you can practice, have just the heels touch, open the toes. Make a V with the feet. Close the feet together. Balls of the feet only touch. That just gave me a cramp. I don't know about you. Balls of the feet touch. And make a square, basically. It's kind of like a house shape with your feet. And then make just the toes touch. But you can work with different geometric shapes and pushes and get different stretches and strengthenings going on. One of the things I want us to do, the 6 S's of the Bando we do, we need to build the number 1 that Dr. G gave us is strength. Strength, stamina, stability, suppleness, speed, and senses. Those are the 6 S's. A lot of times we concentrate on building suppleness in our yoga practice. And the strength is sometimes a sideline benefit we get from doing it. Nothing wrong with that. The stamina, we develop stamina by staying in positions or working through this. We can develop a certain amount of stamina. But to intentionally build strength, we have to do different things. So we're going to get into that shortly and talk some about intentionally building strength. But like for the artistic, in Bando, we've got aesthetics, athletics, and combatics. Combat-driven things are obvious. athletic things or things we do maybe with a sport orientation, more of a rule-based orientation in mind. And the aesthetics become, the geometry becomes really important. So from here, open the feet, bring the hands together to a heart prayer. Now you've got a nice triangle right here. Say it again. So here's the geometry, the aesthetics of geometry. One of the things by keeping this rope taut is a sloppy rope. I've got a sloppy rope now. There's nothing, I'm using muscles to support everything instead of the rope. But when we've got a good geometry and we use things properly, a lot of times I can, let's go to a different one. I'm going to give you an example of a relaxation. So, you see how far apart you need to be. That's a good one. So for me, if I've got a wrist wrap and I'm at basically a throat prayer, if I go from a throat prayer, reach up, out, feet are together, and if I take and bring the elbows in and around the rope, you'll find a sweet spot where you can, like right now, I'm not exactly at it because I'm close. What I want to be able to do is totally relax basically everything. Right now I'm having to hold the rope up with my hands. If I take one wrap on each side, I've got a hand wrap now, and I'm going to bring the elbows in and bring the rope under the armpit. Now I just hit the sweet spot because I'm able to straighten the legs, hook the thumbs under the rope, and relax the legs completely. Let the knees lock out. And if you get this balance right, you'll be able to totally relax the legs, the back, the stomach, even the hands and arms, so that the rope is holding everything together. If you soften the knees, they should not unlock. So if you're having to use leg muscles to hold the position, you don't quite have it right. I'm not gripping the rope. I've got loose fingers. My thumb is hooked. That's all I've got. And in this position, I can sit. I will, even Dr. G says, Bando yoga is dynamic. It's not ever static. It'll look like I'm not doing anything, but you can subtly move the hips, or on the sacroiliac, the bones and the sides of the spine in the lower coccyx sacrum area. Slowly shift that weight left and right. Feel that inner sight. Feel what's going on there. Sometimes you can subtly make motions, tense it and relax it a little bit, and you'll get a pop in the lower spine that you induced, not a chiropractor. But when you find a position that's comfortable and, sometimes you want to find a comfortable position and stay in it and then subtly explore what happens if I slightly shift side to side, slightly raise the hip bone towards the shoulder, towards the armpit. So slightly torque the tips, slightly open the arms. And then just explore. All right, here's another one you can explore. Arms and hands out. Reach under with the left hand, and you can grab that left rope and reach under with the right hand, and then tuck the right foot. Bring the right foot and the knee, or bring the right elbow and the knee together, and then roll to the left. And then come back up. And then slowly, as you drop the right foot to the floor, bring the left elbow and left knee together. And what you'll get is different versions of, you can find that by manipulating, one of the things we want to do is encourage movement, controlled movement, and even stylized movement. Style, in Bando, there's something called style. In Bando, there are three things that you supposedly you can't defend against. First one is speed. If someone is so fast throwing a punch, you don't have time to react. There's no defense against speed. There supposedly is no defense against surprise, and that's obvious. If you're not aware an attack is coming, there is no defense. You're just caught by surprise. But the third one, there's no defense against style. And for a long time in Bando, I kept wondering, what is style? And we have animal styles, the panther and the tiger and the eagle and the cobra and all these different styles. But finally, one day, Dr. G said, no. Style is disciplined movement, skillful placement of the limbs. When someone has skillful movements that are controlled and disciplined, they can, it's like a scalpel. It's the difference in using a sledgehammer and a scalpel. They can be so precise in what they do, there won't be a defense against it. Those of you that have been around Dr. G, you have seen disciplined, stylized movement, and there's basically no defense sometimes. So one of the things we want to develop is disciplined movement. Now, if y'all have got a few more minutes, I'll introduce you to set 2. Are we good? Thumbs up? Okay. All right, so we've been doing set 1. We've gone all through these different explorations of set 1. Set 2 is where we're going to release one leg. We're going to release the left leg. I like to bring it down right by my butt, okay? So I like to take the left leg out and just bring it right by my butt. And I like to, my hands are the sky prayer, I just take the left rope and deliver it into the right hand. For me, I take a couple of wraps, 1, 2, so that when I get set in this position, left foot's as far as I can get it to my butt. Right hand is containing both ropes. Right arm's extended. I like to get the left arm extended. I've got a full body stretch right here. So I reach for the head horizon with the left hand, push the right foot to the foot horizon, and get a good stretch there. This is the right side, one leg bound, to the open side. So this is the open side. We're going to do it. This is set 2. So the first thing I like to do is from this wide stretch, simply roll up to your right hip and right shoulder and look at the right horizon. So you should be pushing with the ball of the foot a little bit, and you're on the right hip and the right shoulder. And then from there, if you want to take the right hand and move it a little bit out, so you're going to roll all the way to, left knee goes down, roll all the way to the face down, left elbow on the ground, and look towards the head horizon. And get a good stretch right there. Bando is a yoga, 3 things. All you do is bend front to back, side to side, and rotate, twist. So this is the twist part of this side. So we just rotate and look at the head horizon and then roll back out. So you're back where you started. And I can't see you guys, so I hope it makes sense. If you can see me, all I'm doing is rolling from back to the stomach. Now, let's talk about what we're going to do in this set 2 is sit up and watch a minute. Let's see everybody sitting up. Here's where we're going to go. In set 2, we've gone here. And we're going to go here. So I'll take, and we'll do a little bit right here. And then we'll do, take more wraps, and we'll do a little bit right here. But what we're also going to do, that's the stretching, the suppleness part of it. What I want us to also learn to do is the strengthening part of it. So in this first section where I rolled over and simply, this is all I used to do. I simply used to just stretch and then come back and then go through these and stretch. Here's what we're adding to intentionally strengthen when we get here. We'll push at extension. I just do 3. 1, 2, 3. There's not, from here, I can also lift the body. 1, 2, 3. I'm pushing with the shoulder, with the elbow, both feet, and getting the body off the ground like a side plank. Then I'll pull the hands in to close together, and I'll roll up and roll down. And then I'll slowly add push to it. There's the strengthening. So I'm getting a kind of a push-up. It doesn't have to be both hands pushing and getting like a full push-up. You can gradually get into this by rolling here, hand down, roll over it, and slowly, if you can't come here and just come straight up, that's all right. That's not how we start. We start by working our way into it. So here's the body comes up, and then I can roll up into this. At some point, I'll be here, and I'll be learning to do push-ups. Or at some point, I'll be learning to lift the leg or lift the leg. But watch what I do. I come down, touch, roll, and I keep everything taut and under control. That under control part is where we're building dynamic tension and movement strength. So we'll be working on movement skills as well as stretching and strengthening at the same time. So what I want you to do, we're just going to go through the stretching motion first. I just want to show you what we're going to start adding to the stretching motion. So once I've done this stretch, the full body stretch, for me, I take 4 wraps. Wrist, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then pull the leg out to about a 45-degree angle. Y'all do this with me. Lindsay, you good to do this? There you go. And from here, you'll be able to see where you can experiment on your own, but the principle of the experimentation is if you're here on your own this week doing this, just practice lifting different parts of the body off the floor. I'll push with the foot, I'll lift the butt off the floor. I'm pushing my shoulder and my left foot and my right shoulder, it gets the butt off the floor. I'm getting the leg off the floor. All right? So from here, I'll take another couple of wraps, 1, 2, and get the leg out to the side. And I'm still keeping the left hand out to the side. This time it's more horizontal. When I'm here to stretch, I like to push the right leg out towards the right horizon and against the rope. So experiment with how you get that stretch and that push. And then take the left hand, I'm across the heart now, right across the middle of the body. Then take that left hand up towards the head horizon and the right hand up towards the head horizon. And you'll get there you definitely get a leg stretch. But we usually think at this point, leg stretch, hamstring, But feel it in the shoulders. There's some stretch happening I can feel the scapula, the muscles of the upper back coming together. I can get some right bicep stretch. If I push out the left hand, palm down, with the palm down, push the shoulder up towards the sky. Slight, subtle rotations can change where the stress and the stretch go in the shoulders. With the left foot, push, you ought to be flat-footed, not on the side of the foot, but push down into the earth and feel the quadriceps on that left leg. Go up on the left ball of the foot. Try to pick the hips up off the ground. Slow, subtle movements. And then stretch, slowly extend the left leg. And those of you that have done standing Longyi should recognize this position. Anything you can do lying, you can do standing, pretty much. All right, so recover. Let's come back to both feet bound. Let me check the time. Okay. So I'm going back to a neutral prayer position. We're going to say, this is both feet bound. Set one. And you work your way through the different explorations on set one. And then we'll go to set two. I will deliver the rope into the right hand. Left foot out. Put it by the butt. And you've got set two set up for a long stretch. And then roll over to the stomach. And then roll back. From right here, push down with the left foot and get that left shoulder and get the butt off the ground. Slowly roll to your right hip. Take that right hand and bring it up about mid-level, right at by the hip. That brings your left hand down towards your head. So I've got maybe a couple of feet in between the hands for me. And you're on your right side. And from there, on left ball of the foot, push the left ball of the foot, push the left hand, and just slightly raise the right shoulder and torso off the body, off the ground. Bring the right hand closer to the left. For me, they're basically in front of my face. And as you roll to the right, slowly roll up onto the right forearm. There you go. And roll back down to your back. Do that a few times. From flat on the back, roll out to the right, over the right forearm, and push up so that your right arm's still down and left arm pushed up. Push down with the right forearm, pick the hips up. Get them, if you can, get the knee off the ground with it. Feel the different muscles that are used in that rotational stretching lifting motion. And recover. Take 2 reps. and slide that right hand towards the foot. So we're always coiling, uncoiling, sliding, keeping the rope taut. I'm sliding the right hand towards the foot, the left hand away from the right, and pulling the right leg out about a 45-degree angle, and explore that position. Work with the hips. Slowly tweak the hips. Push down, push around, relax the glute. That right butt cheek is on the ground. Tighten it. Loosen. Push the left knee out towards the left horizon and feel it pull the, kind of open things up. At the same time, I'm letting that left hand go high, brings the rope across my forehead, looking out towards the left. Push with the left foot, raise the hips off the ground. Pull the right hand and the left hand close to each other. Now pull with the right hand as you sit up and try to look at your left foot. Can you do that and still keep the rope taut? Experiment with what you have to do you may have to loosen or take coils up, let coils out. And you may not see your left foot yet, but lean out to the right if you have to. Lean out towards the right hand. Take the left hand out that way, circle out, and come around and look at that left foot. And if you'll notice, that particular motion sets you up to push with the right hand if you want to get up. All you do is push with the right hand and stand up on the left leg. So it'll be a way to get up off the ground. And then take maybe 4 more reps. 1, 2, 3 for me. 3 more reps. And get across the chest. And then push both hands toward the head horizon. Let me get back on the picture here. And then straighten that left leg and feel the change in the stretch. For me, that opens up that left side, that whole serratus anterior along the ribs. Get a stretch there. Work your breathing. My left palm is towards the floor. And by pushing the shoulder subtly up toward the ceiling, I get a stretch through the shoulder, through the biceps. Take the right hand, rotate it up to the sky. Push that right hand rotated up towards the head horizon, and you'll be stretching that hamstring even more if you need to. And recover. And sit up, and I'll show you where we're going next week, and then we'll probably call it a night. So once we do, is that Lindsay sit up? No, that's Dusty. There's Lindsay. There you go, Lindsay. So we've done the 2 feet bound, right foot all through. We explored this whole right quadrant. Someday maybe we'll be exploring from south all the way to north. We'll see about that. Well, once we do this right side open, we'll simply transfer the rope and we'll explore right side cross, closed. And then we'll be able to explore a full right foot across, long, I call it a long stretch. And then we'll explore here and the cross stretch here, high and high up here. So there's all kinds of explorations there also. What we'll do also is once you're comfortable with, we've explored a lot on the 2 feet bound. As we start exploring this right side, we'll also next time explore the strengthening, more of the strengthening things we can do here to practice this or to practice, where's that coming? Oh, we'll practice here or here or here or come across. We can learn by getting the flexibility, we can learn how to get up from here to here. So I can change directions. I'm in a direction to go this way, but all of a sudden I can be in a direction to go that way or straight away. So what I want us to practice is movement. We want to have multi-directional capabilities. So anyway, let's go back for me. That's probably enough for tonight, I think. Y'all need to comment, question? Is it too much or is that okay?
It's good.
Eric, you good with this? Is Eric even still here?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay,
yes,
good.
I will.
Good. There you go.
Yep.
Lucia, Lindsay, Beverly. All right. Lindsay, are you okay? Okay. And Lucia.
It's always miraculous to me. Well, these practices are always miraculous to me. My sacrum has been locked for a lot of years, and I just felt it like little pops, like bubbles.
And where was that in?
I'm sorry?
That was where?
In my sacrum.
Oh, okay, good. You felt some of that tonight?
Yeah, like it was all locked for a long time. I didn't know what to do with it. And today it just like a lot of little like pops and bubbles. It was like
subtle. I love that description. Subtle pops and bubbles are really good compared to clunks and bangs. We don't like clunks.
It was miraculous. Thank you.
Good. And Beverly, I'm glad to see you made this thing.
Oh yeah, thank you. I happened to miss it last week, so yeah, this really helped. My back and my shoulders been really bothering me, and the stretches is really it's funny. It just really.
I don't want to go too quickly through this stuff, so I want to take the time to explore a little bit as we go, and that's what I'm trying to get us to do. To learn how to explore safely is a big deal, and that's where I hope we're going.
Yeah.
Dusty, you look like you're getting it. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Hey, a question for you. How many weeks is this going to be?
I've got it set up, I think, for 11 weeks now. I think it's through May 11.
Okay, I'm going to be in Europe in about a month.
Yeah.
Will Zoom work over there?
Will it what?
Will Zoom work if I'm in Europe? Can I call in?
Where's Debbie Kirkman?
What's that?
Will Zoom work? I would assume, in my mind, the answer is yes.
Okay.
I think so. We've had international Zooms. I think so.
Okay.
I know I can Facebook Messenger with my friend Mike Martin, who's on the Burma-Thai border. We used to have to Skype, and it was kind of, but Mike Martin's, we just Facebook Messenger sometimes, just like talking to you. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you might be able to, but if you can't, we'll understand and do what you got to do.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Well, then unless you've got some specific questions, I will, like I said, I'm going to set this up from the farm next week, and I hope it's not too glitchy. We'll see how a mobile hotspot handles this. If it gets real stupid, human, whatever we're going to call it, then we'll just bail out and let y'all practice on your own, but I'll try to make something happen.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
Really,
right.
Thanks
really
so
enjoyed
much.
that.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Take care, Eric. Good
Take
seeing
care.
you.
Thank you. Good
Wonderful.
see you. Take care.
All right, I'm going to end this meeting. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye now.